So it seems that like a reoccurring technique he used was he would ask girls to give him a massage, and then that would turn into a criminal offense. Is that, did he use that technique on you?
Yeah, he actually did, because when I was taken for the modeling casting afterwards, they said that his massage therapist had cancelled. And then they said that they would offer me $300 to give him a massage, So I obviously, and then that's what was his chance to ask me a lot of questions about myself. And I wasn't a massage therapist or anything, but, $300 at that time was more than a South African girl would be making in 6 months, So it seemed... so that was a little bit of a red flag, to be honest, when they asked me to give him a massage. But I just thought it seemed like, okay, it's, he's very rich and he can sort of do what he wants with people.
And at this point of the story, have you met Maxwell yet?
No. I only met Maxwell on the island. She was there most of the time. Yeah, she was usually there, and I was also taken to her apartment she owned in Paris. At the time, I was actually told that Maxwell was Epstein's girlfriend. And that made it even more frightening because it's like, okay, he was taking me and the other girls to the room. I was like, and it was horrible, the whole thing happening. I was like, does the girlfriend know about this? So it made me feel even like, apart from already being like basically raped and made to feel like, what, it made me feel also like, oh my God, what's going on? Like, is this his girlfriend? And, it was just horrible, horrible, horrible. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So you're right, Juliette. Sorry. It's okay, Juliette. It's okay, Juliette. Take your time. Take your time. So you said, just in summary, then you were just around 20 years old. You get flown to the island, and on that first flight to the island, how long did you remain at the island?
For about 5 days.
You said you spent 5 days at the island on that first trip. And how did that end?
So we were at the island for 5 days, and then they move suddenly. They don't tell you when you're going to move, like on the plane and stuff. Just suddenly you'll be told, pack your bags. So from there we went to Palm Beach, and then that's the other weird thing about Palm Beach. He had like this woman who was like a top model there, well, like a good model, and then even in my bedroom there was like a magazine which had pictures of the model staying in the room next door in my magazine. So it was almost like, I've never actually spoken about this before. It was almost like showing me that, oh, he does arrange modeling careers for people, and he was making her eat cherries and like run on the treadmill all day. Her name was Helena. She actually ended up going out with Vin Diesel years later, because I looked her up. But anyway, so we were taken to Palm Beach, and then sorry, that was a bit of a distracting story, but it's all part of the story.
I'm curious, Juliette, what was it like inside that house
at Palm Beach? It was, the Palm Beach house was a lot more basic than the other homes. The other houses, like the New Mexico, had a lot of like very expensive artifacts. Same as New York, a lot of expensive artifacts, paintings and like weird stuff.
Eyeballs. There was a lot of eyeballs, wasn't there?
I love my doggies. They make me happy. Yeah, eyeballs. I saw the eyeballs and the soldier statue and all of that stuff. And then, but Palm Beach and the island were a lot more basic. Like at Palm Beach, he had an office, 2 office areas where he used to sit with like his feet on the table, but on the phone. I never saw him actually doing proper work, like on a computer or like writing notes. It was always like on the phone, or otherwise he was molesting girls, or he wasn't actually doing proper work. I heard him on the phone also like doing like helicopter deals where he was like 20 million rand for a helicopter pad or something. He had like 3 phones in his car. Like the car that used to drive us around, there was like all these phones in the car. But sorry, I've lost my train of thought now.
So you're at
No,
you've gone from the island to the Florida
yeah.
residence.
Okay. So
What happens at the Florida residence?
So then in Florida, before I'm sent back to New York, he tells me that he's got my family's name on a list and he works for the CIA. And he told me that a girl who accused him of rape was sent to prison. He planted drugs in her apartment and had her sent to prison. So I was, petrified. I was already petrified because as I've told before, as well, I already saw him shapeshift into another creature. You know, we didn't go into that now, but, you know, apart from everything else that had happened, being kidnapped and everything, you know, I don't think anyone would really want to stand up against someone who's best friends with Bill Clinton, and he was on the phone to Gates often. And I mean, you know, we all know he was friends with Gates because one of his assistants told me Gates used to go around there for lunch every week.
Bill Gates' wife said there was a lot going on.
Terrific. But I was actually talking about Bush, not Gates. You know, that's another weird thing. It's Bill Gates, Bill Clinton, you know, they've all the bills. And then you've got Epstein's name on the dollar bill. I mean, Epstein looks like the man on the dollar bill. So it's like all the bills, you know, and also Bill Richardson, Bill Clinton, Bill Gates, Bill Richardson. Yeah. It's like all the bills, dollar bills.
So anyway, how long were you at the Florida property for?
Also for about like 5 days. And then, you know, he basically told me that if I say anything, I'm going to be put in prison and stuff. And he's got my family's name on a list. And then I was sent to New York, and he wasn't there then, but they sent me to have my hair made blonde and to have my teeth made white. And they sent me to Frederick Fekkai, and he like made my hair all like blonde and stuff. And then Frederick Fekkai made my teeth whiter. I've still got, I mean, not Frederick Fekkai, the Bright Smile place. They made my teeth white. I've still got the card from when they did it. And then I was sent back, and then they had me back there again 2 weeks later.
Back at Florida?
The next time, I need to look at exactly, yes. Well, they took me to the Caribbean because I was taken there, first of all, in October. I arrived on October 17th, and then they took me back again in December.
And during these various, as they're moving you around various places, did you encounter Jean-Luc Brunel?
I never met that man, no. I didn't meet him.
Did you ever meet any of the other survivors who have been in the news?
Well, Tila Davies was there at the same time as me, and Shante Davies. You know, the other survivors, no, that's actually a good point. I didn't meet, like, you know, I've made friends with the other girls over time because we were represented by the same law firm, you know, like Virginia Gaffer, who we're talking about. Virginia, and, yeah, Sarah Ransom, Annie, and Maria Farmer. You know, I met them all after, but while I was there, you know, I saw about 60 girls coming and going. Also in Europe, I saw many girls coming and going. But no, I haven't really been able to be in touch with any of those girls. And like I always say, you know, I didn't see girls being to other men. We were all being made to go to Epstein's bedroom. But I never witnessed another girl being to another man. And, you know, that's the other frightening thing, how they opened up the case as sex trafficking because of, you know, rest in peace, Virginia. You know, I don't even like to talk about people. You know, but it's just so horrible what's happened. But, you know, Virginia and Sarah Ransom were both apparently made to sleep with. And that's how they managed to open up the case. But, you know, Sarah Ransom retracted her statement. I don't know what exactly happened there. I really don't know. But they've lied about a lot, basically. Because if, like, you know, Virginia got the settlement from Prince Andrew, if there were more victims, they would have had similar settlements. But there's been nothing like that.
So you're going from property to property, it sounds like, and to the island. How long has this gone for? Was it approximately 2 years?
For 18 months, they kept taking me back and forth. And over the time, I was taken to all the properties, you know, and people ask why I went back. The thing is, I was so broken by then, you know, I'd already been like so badly affected by it. And also I had been threatened. So, you know, I just didn't want to cross him. I knew it was just better to go along, you know, with it. And I realized he was obviously one of the most powerful men in the world. And you know that recently on Fox News, there's something that's been released where Virginia had like a dead man's switch, where she said that Epstein is still alive. And I'm pretty sure he's very likely still alive. Because, you know, if they can clone people, like, you know, with Bill Clinton being his best friend and all, and one of his best friends, you know, Bill Clinton banned human cloning. He banned the federal funds used for human cloning in 1997, just 1 year after Dolly the sheep was cloned. You know, people think that cloning's not possible. Well, guess what? It is. They do it. If it was done, that's nearly 30 years ago that they cloned a sheep. God knows what they can do now. You know, you see these videos online where people even put on a mask where it looks like someone else. It's like,
is the possibility that Epstein is still alive, does that make you a bit scared? Is that one of the reasons you've got the attack dogs?
Definitely. And it's not just about Epstein being alive, it's about the whole corporation being alive. Let's not forget, I've been speaking out against the Clintons. They've got a big body count. I've been speaking out against Kevin Spacey, body count. You know, 3 of the accusers who, you know, there were, I think, about 10 people with accusations against them, or 12. I can't remember the exact figures, but 3 of them were found dead within a year. So suddenly everyone retracted their statements, and I don't blame them for doing that. You know, also, I don't want to, you know, yeah, I have attack dogs for a reason.
I've written a book called Clinton, Bush, and CIA Conspiracies, and there's a whole chapter on the body count. I'll have to send you a copy of that if you read books very
Please
much.
do. Actually, do you know what? You got me onto that Clinton body count. It made me realize. I was like, oh my God. It made me realize how evil they were. And, you know, then people,
terrifying. Yeah.
Yeah. And also with Michael Bay being on the island, who made not on the island, I met him in New Mexico, but he made the movie called The Island about clones. And it looks like they're all escaping from New Mexico. You know, and he denies meeting Epstein or ever being at Epstein's properties. Well, guess what? I saw him there. I want to be lie detected on it. I'm not lying, but he's lying. So why is he lying? What's he trying to cover?
They're all trying to pretend they didn't know him.